Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, today we are diving headfirst into something pretty intense. We're providing a completely impartial breakdown of a highly debated, genuinely provocative framework. It's a piece of source material that claims to pull back the curtain on the hidden realities of gender dynamics, outlining what it calls the 10 dark truths about female psychology. Look, whether you find these ideas challenging, highly controversial, or maybe even a bit enlightening, our goal today is strictly to neutrally dissect what this creator is arguing. We're going to break it down step by step, just looking at the text right in front of us.
To really wrap our heads around this framework's premise, we have to start with its philosophical roots. The source material leans heavily, and I mean heavily, on the writings of the 19th century philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. He famously framed female nature as this complex riddle that's deeply tied to biology and reproduction. Now, what's fascinating here is how the creator interprets this. They argue this isn't about, hatred toward women. Not at all. Instead, they view it as a deep, historical warning about human nature and survival. The whole perspective insists that there are objective realities about power dynamics that men have simply been conditioned to ignore.
So, to make sense of the creator's 10 specific points without getting totally lost in the weeds, we've organized this explainer into 5 key themes: the Nietzschean mourning, security over romance, power and manipulation, the illusion of innocence, and finally, becoming unbreakable.
Let's jump right into part 1, the Nietzschean warning, decoding the core claims.
The text opens up with a really bold assertion. It claims that society actively blinds men. I mean, think about the fairy tales and movies we're fed from childhood, right? The framework argues that the idea of women being inherently pure, delicate, and eternally innocent is actually a sweet, manufactured lie. According to the source, this societal conditioning is a deliberate veil. It's designed to keep men completely oblivious to a much more primal reality, a nature that is fundamentally driven by power and survival.
And because women historically lack raw physical strength, the author claims they have to use physical allure as their primary weapon. We're talking about a smile, a gaze, a gentle touch. The philosophy here is that these aren't just sweet romantic gestures. They are highly calibrated tools. It's literally a weapon designed to bypass a man's logical reasoning. The idea is that no matter how brilliant or logical a man thinks he is, this allure is specifically designed to melt his logical mind and hand the upper hand directly to the woman. Moving right along to part 2, security over romance, the true drive.
The creator argues there is a massive, almost irreconcilable disconnect between male expectations and female reality. Men generally walk around believing women are looking for that sweeping, movie-style, unconditional love. But the source insists a woman's true drive is way more pragmatic. Have you ever noticed how relationships can shift drastically when times get really tough? Well, the text claims that when push comes to shove, women will consistently choose providers of stability, security, and strength over a guy who merely offers emotional love. Love, according to this playbook, is just a pathway to the actual goal, safety.
So the creator builds to this absolute bottom line. Female loyalty is never unconditional, period. According to this perspective, a woman's loyalty strictly depends on a man's ability to maintain 3 things: convenience, security, and stability. This framework asserts that the exact second a man loses his strength, his income, or his ability to provide those 3 pillars, that loyalty starts to crumble. It is a strictly transactional view of human relationships.
And this brings us to a really harsh philosophical concept from the text, the idea of the man as a medium. The author argues that men experience severe heartbreak because they mistakenly believe they are the absolute center of a woman's world. They think they're the final destination, but actually, scratch that. The creator claims the man is just a vehicle. He's a tool utilized to achieve her real goals, like social status, financial safety, or starting a family. The philosophy suggests that once you wake up and realize you are the medium and not the end goal, you stop harboring these false, painful illusions. Let's shift gears to part 3, power and manipulation, the emotional battlefield. According to the creator, women know they can't build empires or fight physical wars alone, so they instinctively gravitate toward men who possess modern markers of power. In today's landscape, that translates directly to money, influence, and unwavering confidence. This survival instinct is so deeply hardwired, the text argues, that weak men, men without resources or assertiveness, are rendered practically invisible. Women, the source posits, naturally and automatically align with the winner. Now, the battlefield of relationships, according to this framework, is completely asymmetrical. It's like 2 sides playing totally different games.
Men typically try to resolve a conflict using direct step-by-step logic. But the source claims women fight differently. They utilize an emotional arsenal: guilt, tears, weaponized silence, and relentless complaints. Because a woman knows she usually can't win through pure logic or physical dominance, the text argues she leans on these emotional tactics to completely outmaneuver the man. Building on that asymmetry, the source text paints a picture of a constantly restless nature. The underlying philosophy argues that women are literally never completely satisfied. They possess this infinite greed for more. And on top of that, it claims that while women might appear perfectly kind and supportive on the surface, they are secretly ruthless when competing against each other. It describes female competition as a covert, totally brutal war for superiority, attention, and resources.
To back up this assertion of sheer ruthlessness, the creator once again tags in Nietzsche for a pretty striking quote. The argument here is that female desires, and especially their vengeance, are uniquely intense and entirely unrestrained. It suggests that bubbling right beneath the polite, socially acceptable surface, there is a fierce, almost barbarous instinct driving female behavior in matters of the heart.
Which leads us perfectly into part 4, the illusion of innocence, the mask of control. The source posits a really fascinating tactical theory here. It argues that outright aggression from women would just fail and push men away. So what do? Women hide their true, calculating motives behind a mask of innocence. By presenting this flawless facade of harmlessness and vulnerability, they keep men complacent, they keep them compliant. The framework warns that it is only in moments of extreme stress or when the woman has fully secured her position that this mask finally slips and you see the true face.
Let's see how this ties into one of Nietzsche's most infamous quotes, "Do not forget thy whip." Now hold on, the creator is very careful to clarify this. This is absolutely not about advocating physical harm. It's a metaphor, a really severe metaphorical warning. The text argues that if a man forgets his boundaries, drops his guard, and lets a woman completely into his emotional center without maintaining his own authority, she will inevitably turn him into a slave to her whims. Okay, seeing all these intense, heavy claims stacked up one after the other, you might be asking yourself, well, does this mean all women are inherently bad or evil? The source text actually pauses to ask this exact rhetorical question. It's the absolute pivot point of their whole philosophical argument. And the creator's answer is a resounding no. They insist that applying simple moral labels like good or bad entirely misses the point. The philosophy argues that this is just their inherent, unchangeable biological nature. It's just the cold reality of how the world operates. The real problem, according to this framework, isn't women. It's men who refuse to accept the bitter truth and choose instead to live inside a sweet, comfortable lie. Finally, we reach part 5, becoming unbreakable, the final solution for men. The ultimate solution offered by the source is radically inward-focused. Instead of whining about female nature, or worse, trying to change it, the text gives men 3 distinct steps. Number 1, know yourself deeply. Number 2, build your physical, financial, and mental strength to the absolute maximum. And number 3, rise above the manipulation. Become so remarkably powerful and so completely centered in your own life's purpose that shifting loyalties can never ever bring you down. We're going to leave you with this final empowering thought from the source material, echoing Nietzsche one last time. The creator poses a direct challenge to the listener. Will you let this stark interpretation of gender dynamics defeat you and make you bitter? Or will you use this knowledge as the ultimate motivation to build your own unbreakable strength? It's a deeply provocative framework, obviously designed to make you question every societal norm you've ever been handed. So, what do you think? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.